Hey there, Tim here, and in this video we are going to be discussing issues regarding privacy. We are all familiar with those annoying pop-ups on websites regarding terms of service and privacy policy. Many members of older generations who come from a time where privacy was a higher priority will recommend that you review the privacy policy of all the technology that you introduce into your life. However, the truth is, the younger generations have become accustomed to just hitting agree and moving on. I used to do the same, but my recent studies have enlightened me on the importance of privacy. In this video, we will take an overview of privacy and explore the risks of losing it to show how issues involving privacy are extremely important, so Generation Z needs to become better educated regarding privacy and take the issues more seriously. There is a scary amount of information available. The question arises, how is it all getting out there? And the answer is we are putting it out there. This is known as the privacy paradox, and it is the statement that our information won't be taken from us, but rather that we will give it away. A prime example of this is with Spiro Cafe in Rhode Island. It is a coffee shop that gives free coffee to local university students if in return they provide various pieces of personal information such as name and professional interests. Many students choose to give their information away in return for the coffee, stating that the information is already available, so they may as well get something in return. This is a common feeling for many members of the younger generations that have grown up in the tech era. Ambivalence is the best way to describe their attitude about security. Many people choose convenience over security. In an anonymous Tripwire article, the author discusses how most people refuse to use two-factor authenticity even though it offers significantly more protection because it's slightly more time-consuming. Often the reason for this ambivalence is that people don't think they need to care about privacy because they have nothing to hide. This claim is a fallacy and a truly alarming one at that. Edward Snowden, former CIA employee, addressed this claim brilliantly when in 2015 when he stated, "Arguing you don't care about privacy because you have nothing to hide is no different than saying you don't care about free speech because you have nothing to say." We are now going to take a look at 4 problems associated with the loss of privacy. In his Forbes article titled, "If you don't care about online privacy, you should read this," Kyle Thorpe analyzes Bitcoin developer Jameson Lopp's online privacy practices and the motives behind them. Lopp states that your online privacy protects your online well-being, which is directly correlated to your physical well-being due to the fact that your online presence, particularly over social media, increases accessibility to the people of the world with psychopathic tendencies. It is easier than ever to offend large groups due to technology. As a result, if there are vast amounts of personal information about you readily available, you can find yourself at risk of threats and cyber harm. While this may seem far-fetched, there are more ways to offend someone than you might realize, and the reach of your digital presence is most likely more substantial than you know. The second problem associated with loss of privacy that we're going to take a look at is explored by Ted Potter in his interview-style article with Christopher Soghoian. When asked about who do people really have to be afraid of, Soghoian explains that it isn't just any single common enemy. Depending on who you are, there are a wide range of potential threats that could originate from your accessible information. Soghoian also explains that lives can be ruined by breaches in privacy and gives the example of someone's extramarital affairs leaking over a discreet dating website or sensitive medical history surfacing online. Although there are laws to protect against breaches in financial privacy, breaches of personal information cannot truly be completely resolved. In this piece, The Solace of Oblivion, the author, Jeffrey Toobin, describes the struggles of various people to get undesirable information about themselves removed from the internet. Often, the content people are working to remove was either placed on the internet by a different party or it was material that they viewed as harmless and didn't think twice of when sharing. The critical point that Toobin makes, challenging the claim that I have nothing to hide, is that any information can become dangerous when given to someone with malicious intentions. The example he gives is of the Dutch when he writes, quote, "In the 19th century, the Dutch government maintained comprehensive population registry, which included the name, address, and religion of every citizen. At the time," he writes, "the registry was hailed as facilitating government administration and improving welfare planning. But when the Nazis invaded Holland, they used the registry to track down the Jews and the Gypsies. We may feel safe living in democratic republics, but so did the Dutch." End quote. Most of your personal information has the ability to hurt you when put in the hands of a malicious person, and as many of the recent athletes who have been scrutinized for the tweets they posted in middle school can tell you, once something is online, it never goes away. Our fourth and final potential problem associated with privacy infringements impacts society on a larger scale. In his article, The Watchers, Jonathan Shaw explains the impact of surveillance on self-censorship. He uses the 2013 Edward Snowden situation in which the surveillance tactics of the NSA were exposed and subsequently caused a decrease in searches of terrorist organizations, which highlights a phenomenon known as the chilling effect. He proceeds to explain how the chilling effect is dangerous because, quote, "surveillance-related chilling effects, by deterring people from exercising their rights, including the freedom to read, think, and communicate privately, are corrosive to political discourse." End quote. By subliminally limiting fundamental freedoms of thought and expression, the fear of privacy breaches can hamper innovation and promote ignorance, which is probably the biggest concern of them all. After learning more about privacy and seeing how without privacy we could potentially open ourselves up to cyber harm, ruin lives with the leaking of sensitive personal information, harm large groups indefinitely by giving their information to malicious people, and hampering innovation through surveillance-motivated self-censorship, we can see why it is so critical for everyone, particularly Generation Z, to continue to educate themselves about privacy policy and take the issues regarding privacy very seriously.